Thanks for joining us tonight, and we're going to talk about the Western Drama Festival this week. So the Western Drama Festival, which started in 1944, celebrates its 80th year, and we have two of the organisers here with us. We have Brendan Mc Gowan and we have Billy Kilgannon. Thanks a million, guys, for joining us.
Thanks, Richard. Good to be here.
So Brendan Mc Gowan, you're the current chairman of the Western Drama Festival, and Billy, you're a former chairman, but you're still part and parcel of the committee.
Yep.
Fantastic. And we have Roger McCarrick here, President of the Chamber of Commerce and long-time supporter of the Western Drama Festival. So thanks for joining us as well, Roger.
Thank you.
So Billy, let's start, I suppose, with yourself and tell me about the origins of the festival.
Well, I suppose we can't talk about the origins of the Western Drama Festival without first talking about the construction of St. Bridget's Hall, which was built in the early 40s, opened in 1943, and it was an extraordinary achievement in that Ireland was just coming out of the effects of the Second World War, so money was scarce. But they had the site of the old church, which was given over to the Hall Committee to build a hall. Now that's St. Bridget's Hall turned out to be one of the finest of its kind outside of the cities in Ireland. Back then, they put a lot of detail into the staging area of it, because there was a man he was principal in the vocational school in Tubbercurry, Sean O'Dowd, and he was fancies himself as a designer, and clearly he was a designer because he designed a magnificent facility there in St. Bridget's Hall. So they had the hall, and it was in actual fact. In the year it was opened, 1943, in July, the official opening, there was a gala concert broadcast by RTE Radio live from St. Bridget's Hall that very night. Such was the significance of this magnificent achievement. So now they had a hall, they had dances, certainly, but they needed more, and the facility was there because of the magnificent stage. Fully equipped with lights. So a few of the local guys, Sean O'Dowd being one of them, Matt Devine, a local businessman, and a few others, they said, why not put on a festival of plays? Now the thinking basically came from the fact that in the area, in the local parishes and in Tubbercurry itself, there was a lot of drama taking place. Plays were being produced in their own local halls, local schools, local whatever. So these men in Tubbercurry said, why not bring them all in together in one place? And so they did. And in February 1944, the first play was presented by a play called Professor Tim, and it was produced by Tubbercurry players. There was 27 plays presented during that 1 week in that hall, an extraordinary achievement. Plays were put on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock in the evening, 9 o'clock at night, maybe even 11 o'clock at night. But they were all completed, 27 of them. And afterwards then they began to think that this has been a great achievement. This is something that might work in other places. And the word spread, and within a couple of years there was 5 or 6 festivals established. There was one in Bundoran, there was one in Scarves, there was in Cavan. They were the first that followed after Tubbercurry. Mm-hmm. But Tubbercurry was the very first drama festival in Ireland. Once there was 4 or 5 established, then the talk started about why maybe the winners from each of those festivals now could compete against each other in an All-Ireland final.
Right.
So they continued in this vein for maybe a year or so, and they finally found their premises in Athlone.
Very good.
Which was available and coming at the right price, because it was a disused factory facility of some kind.
Okay.
So they put a stage into it, and that's where the first All-Ireland finals were held. In the 1953, I think, was the very first All-Ireland.
Okay, wow. Okay. So it has a big, long-standing history, and I suppose set the scene in regards to, we'll say, the youth today now probably wouldn't be able to relate to this, but, you know, you're talking 1944.
Yeah.
You know, how many people would have had televisions and you know,
There's no televisions.
No televisions.
As a matter of fact, the festival became so popular that it was well known that there was maybe 100, 150 metres of, well, yards back then because metres weren't invented, of people queuing to get into the festival. Yeah. The place was absolutely filled, and I'm sure, well, I don't know exactly the capacity, but I'd be thinking it was maybe 350 people.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to get in.
And like you're talking basically in a time where the only form of entertainment would have been either the GA would be the closest thing to kind of being as popular as something like this, you know?
Yes, and the other obviously dances in the hall.
And the dances in the hall, yeah.
Films are shown in the hall as well back then. Yeah.
Very good. And I suppose we'll say from your own perspective, Billy, we'll say when did you get involved, or what attracted you to it?
I suppose what attracted me to it is I've been involved in the Drama Festival. I've also been involved like with the productions, with the plays, and my first memory of plays, we'll call it, because it wasn't theatre back then, when I was in primary school, when we did a nativity play. And I can remember being so interested in it. I used to go through the script to see when was I going to talk again. Yeah. I couldn't wait.
Exactly.
I couldn't wait to say my lines.
Yeah.
And after that, then when I went to secondary school, I did plays as Gaeilge with a teacher, and one-act plays, and we toured around with that. And when I finished school, then I worked here in Tullingage in a local factory, and we started. A drama group, Tubbercurry Dramatic Society, with Mickey Murray, God rest him, as a producer. And we stayed at that for a couple of years. Then Joe Masson came along and he says, we're going to resurrect the Phoenix Players. The Phoenix Players were founded out of the hall as well, actually, back in 1946.
Okay. And the Phoenix Players will be the local drama group here in Tubbercurry.
Yeah, and they've performed all through the years, practically all through the years, except for a number of years in the 60s. And then Joe Maston said, "We're going to get the Phoenix Players going again. You'll be the chairman, won't you?" That was how Maston did it. And so I was the chairman, and he was the secretary.
Very good. So you've been hooked ever since.
Phoenix Players, and I was with the Phoenix Players for a couple of years, and then I got roped into the Drama Festival backstage. As stage manager was my first role. Yeah, and I've been there ever since.
I like that. It's not all just about acting. Like, it's the production that goes into it, and the organisation, everything goes into it. So it is a big feat to put on a play, let alone kind of be part of it. Yeah. So it's a great credit to the community. I think that a lot of people don't realise. You know, we take a lot of the youth at the moment. A lot haven't seen a play. You know, so it's lovely to kind of have this literally on your doorstep, right. and kind of see it's still going strong, which is fantastic.
And when it's been going, it went through a bad patch in the 1965. Television had just been sort of coming to Ireland. RTE opened in 1960, I think it was, and that became the entertainment for people to stay at home. Video
killed the theatre star.
Didn't have to cycle into town to see a play. They could sit at home, watch it. And so actually in 1965 there wasn't a competitive festival that year. They invited they had a seminar of drama actually in town. And they invited about 5 or 6 of the local groups who would normally be out on the festival circuit then, to come in and put on their play.
Very good.
But it was all because the audiences simply dwindled. Yeah. But thankfully it's resurrected itself again. It's been going strong ever since.
Excellent. Very good. And so, Brendan, from your perspective, I suppose, when did you get involved, and what first attracted you to it?
Well, I grew up in a household. It was drama was a very, very important, very part of it. My both my parents were involved in the Chatwood Players, as it was back then in the early 40s. And anytime the Drama Festival came along, we were always brought into it by our parents. Once we were of age enough to be able to sit quietly on a chair, we were brought into the Drama Festival. And I've been going to it ever since. I don't think I've ever missed a year. And
how many years would you be in it now, or how many? Well,
I'm involved with the committee since 1987 or 88, and it was this man across from me who actually brought me into that committee.
Okay.
I think I was in the festival club in Kilorns one night at the bar, enjoying a pint, and Billy came over and said to me, "I've noticed you've been at the festival. You have a season ticket. How would you fancy joining the committee?" So I did, and I've been there ever since. And not long after I joined the committee, Maeve Walsh, the late Maeve Walsh, took me under her wing. She was secretary at the time. I think she was looking for an out of that job, so she appointed me as assistant secretary.
Very good.
And I remained in that role for about nearly 30 years, and I'm chairman for the past 5 or 6 years after Billy. So
fantastic, and it's going stronger every year. I think it's been success over the last couple of years, especially, but it's kind of the interest is still there, it's still growing.
The interest is still there, thankfully.
Okay. Would you get a lot of kind of would say you have a lot of locals obviously that would go to it, but would you have a lot of kind of people who would travel for the festival that come down and support their own different groups? And
we do. We have a core local audience.
Okay.
And that audience is a very knowledgeable audience. They know their theatre. They know a good play, good production, and they like play. They like theatre.
Yeah.
But we also have people from outside of the area. A lot of people from Mayo, from Sligo town, from actually there's people booked this week to come from Dublin and Galway.
Awesome.
So here's a widespread.
Very good. And would you have any international people coming to it, or?
None that I'm aware of at the
None
minute.
aware. Well,
hopefully
now
they're on our sites.
Exactly,
So,
and this is like this is kind of going out on the World Wide Web and the whole lot. So
absolutely.
it'll reach a whole new audience and the whole lot.
Yeah.
I suppose from a capacity point of view, we'll say how many people would you normally accommodate? We'll say with each.
The theatre can hold about 260, 270 people.
Okay, so quite a lot.
It's quite a lot, yeah.
And would the capacity be quite full every show? Or
I wish, usually we would have about 2/3 theatre, generally over the course of the festival.
So plenty of room for new interests and people.
Plenty
who are
for new interests. Of course, you can book tickets by ringing a designated number, but you can also turn up at the door and you will be guaranteed to get in for a season.
Yeah, because you were saying about that, like the seasoned ticket holders that are regulars, they're year on year, they're always there, and then they probably look forward to it every year. But there's always a possibility, literally, if anybody's interested in going, to literally just to come along on the night and get a seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Roger, I suppose being a local here and having been a long time supporter of the Drama Festival, what would your say one of your best memories of the festival over the years? What would have attracted you to it as well?
Well, I grew up in Tubbercurry, and since I was a kid in the mid-60s, I would always be dossing down to the hall, and like that, the queues were down to Margaret Kennedy's shop.
Yeah.
So it was marvellous, but I knew a man that used to be on the door, Johnny Fall, and he'd let you in as long as you stayed quiet, and so we became knowledgeable. But we grew up with the festivals. Anybody from around Tubbercurry, they grew up, and we learned by osmosis maybe about the plays, and there were some marvellous plays in. I always remember Big Maggie, and there'd be some great drama groups over the years that played great plays, and of course John B. Keane was at the height of his powers writing.
Former Kerryman,
former county man of your own. Yeah. But John B. was writing great plays in the 50s and 60s, and they were being played all over the country. And they were marvellous plays, and they really hit home with the rural audiences, I think. Yeah. And we felt that we knew somebody in our local parish, just like that fella that was up on the stage, and the troublemakers, and we could all identify with those people. Yeah. And I think the rural audiences associated with an awful lot of the plays that were put on stage over those years. So it certainly was. And as I got older then, I'm a sponsor over the years, as a lot of the other businesses are. Mm-hmm. And it's a privilege and an honour to be associated with the festival, because the committee have been very hard-working, and they're a very knowledgeable crew. You don't get in on that committee unless you're prepared to work hard and know your stuff.
Which is good. It means that it's at a high professional level, which is what you want.
It's very professional, yes.
Roger, you mentioned John B. Keane there a few minutes ago. Now, John B. Keane is a famous playwright, one of maybe Ireland's most famous playwrights. But the Abbey Theatre actually turned John B. Keane down when his first play. It was the amateur drama movement and festivals that took on his plays and started doing them. It was only thereafter that people took notice of the genius of John B. Keane.
Yeah. Well, I think the professionals look down their nose on how something so simple as a rural story could be put on stage.
Yeah.
And if you're ever in John B. Keane's pub in the Stole, you'll see a picture of the Western Drama Festival. His son Billy opened our festival here about 10 years ago.
Very good. So. I suppose, tell me kind of more about we say the well-known names that have opened the festival. Like as you said, Billy would have opened it. Who else would have you had?
We had Anne Doyle launched our festival here one year.
Famous RT news reporter.
Absolutely, with her dulcet tones. Tommy Gorman, another RT man.
Yes.
And
Tommy, he's a Sligo man, isn't he? Kind of Tommy Gorman.
Tommy is he's a Sligo man. Yeah.
With connections, his father was from South Sligo, down at Mullabrina.
Yeah. But a few years ago, then we started the initiative of launching the festival, which would happen a few years before the actual festival itself. And the first person we had to do that was Dervla Walsh.
The celebrity or Hollywood star
Dervla Walsh. And Dervla, I'm happy to say, is back again with us this year and will be opening our festival tomorrow night.
Fantastic.
So Dervla has won many awards, BAFTA, IFTA, Emmy.
Yeah,
and I don't know if any of you have Apple Plus. You would have seen.
I was because we're hoping to interview Dervla as well on this week's podcast as well. And I started doing my research because I know who Dervla is and the whole lot, but I started kind of going through all these series that she has been part of. Like we say, Bad Sisters is the current one on Apple TV Plus.
Bad Sisters, it's absolutely brilliant. It's a hoot,
And it's Irish actors as well. Like for an American, like a big company like Apple, to take it on is absolutely fantastic and reaching such a wide audience. But she's been involved in Fargo. She's been involved in The Handmaid's Tale. There's all these programs that she has directed that, they're well-known names of programs that we'd all watch.
Well, of course, Dervla grew up in a household as well, which was totally imbued in amateur theatre. Crook on House, the famous B&B. Travelling groups used to make that place their home and used to visit Tubbercurry.
Joe was an actor.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and Dervla will say herself that the influence of the amateur drama and the festival would have had a major impact on her thinking and her road to accolades.
Wow. So. Very good. I suppose looking on the opposite side of then, has there been many threats to the Western Drama Festival over the years?
Well, I suppose the threat today, would be the age of immediate communication and mobile phones and
everything's online.
Everything's online
within reach.
Well, television in the 1960s was a major threat. RTE opened in the early 60s, and after a few years, as I remember. When I was growing up at home, we rented the televisions in about October, and you rented it for the winter months. But then you come home from school one day and the television was gone again. Once you get into March or April, it was gone back to the TV rental store. And but then we'd go down and sneak into a pub and look at the pub, look at different programs, and as households got televisions. It was, there was programs like the Reardons and Crossroads and things like that. And so they were different types of entertainment. And there's no doubt about it, the amateur drama movement nationwide did suffer for a number of years. But it pulled its socks up and got the standards up again. And
I think from we say what I've noticed, I'd be a big fan of we'll say TVs, movie, and like anything to watch. I'd watch The Fly on the Wall. But it's I've seen kind of the influx of online content, like everything streamed and the whole lot, that it's you're overflowed. There's like so much to watch. You don't know what to watch and the whole lot. But I always kind of consider we say a play is like it's like an All Ireland final. If you're there, it's a whole different experience rather than watching it on TV. And it's like that with the plays. It's the whole thing that you're there, you're involved in it, you're seeing what's happening, and it's literally it's happening in right in front of your eyes. Whereas with a match, you're watching, or if you're watching something on TV, you don't get as involved. I think there would be like that involvement from the audience. They're kind of indebted to it.
It's live. It's live theatre. It's people actually in the flesh on the stage telling the story as best they can, who have spent weeks and months rehearsing that, and being directed and rehearsing. So it's a unique experience. And
you see as well, we're fortunate in this area around South Sligo and beyond that there's a lot of groups active on the producing their own plays. Like
so you have the Phoenix Player and what other groups would you have with say locally?
We've Cool, Phoenix Players. We had Charlestown for years, one of the top groups, but there's an interest in drama instilled in a lot of people in the community in around this area, simply because of the participation of the drama groups being active. And the other thing about coming to see a play, I talk about our own venue. We have a place called the Supper Room. Now, in the Supper Room is an extremely important place to visit because maybe during the interval of the play, the discussions get up. Everybody has an opinion on what they've seen in the first half of the play. And it could be good, bad or indifferent. But there'll be a good chat anyhow about what's going on. And you see, you don't get that if you're watching something on TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's this community spirit going around as well.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
During the drama festival. And you meet somebody on the street. We had to play last night. I was. What do you think of it? Oh, I wasn't at it, but what was it like? Oh, you missed a great night.
Yeah. And it's that whole thing of fear of missing out as well.
That's right.
You have people that like they've missed it. They want to know all about it. They want to know what happened.
Exactly.
And so it's not like TV. It's a complete different experience.
Just like Brendan said, it's live.
Yeah, exactly.
And over the years, because we're the oldest festival in the country, we have developed a knowledge about amateur drama as well.
The adjudication experience is very important then as well, because for those listeners that may not know what's happening at a drama festival, at the end of every play, the adjudicator comes up on stage and gives maybe a 10-minute talk on the good, bad and indifferent points of the play, how it could be produced better, what were the good aspects, and the audience by and large will all stay to listen to his adjudication or her adjudication, and they will agree and differ, and there's a great competition then run at the end of the week for the audience to assess their winners of the different competitions, and a lot of them would be of the same opinion as the adjudication. They would have it spot on. So that's a marvellous experience in live theatre that you don't get anyplace else.
Has there been many local winners?
Oh yeah, well, the Phoenix Players unfortunately aren't on the circuit this year, but when they are, they will always be up there.
Yeah.
Always, they'll be competing at a high standard. Yeah.
Culera Dramatic Society in Culera are regular winners as well.
Very good.
And Clonakul.
Charlestown up the road, directed by Paddy Henry, were also regular winners here.
Winners as well.
In the
Very
open
good.
section, yeah.
And they often won All-Irelands, and featured very highly in All-Ireland series as well when they went on to the All-Irelands.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I suppose the one thing we do need to address is we say there is a cost to the drama festival and a whole lot, and there's a lot involved in the sponsorship of the event. So I suppose let's talk about the sponsors over the years and the current sponsors. We say, tell us about kind of what's involved in getting the show off the ground and what the sponsoring involves.
As you said, it is a costly affair. I suppose the average cost of running a drama festival such as this would be between 15 and 20,000 euro.
Okay.
That's quite a lot. A lot of the costs are groups travel, feeding groups, catering to groups, hiring an adjudicator,
absolutely,
hiring the hall, hiring facilities, and hospitality. But we're lucky that we have the support of the community, business community, who stand by us year in, year out, and we have a menu of sponsorship options that people can choose from, and it works quite well.
Okay, and if people want to sponsor, who they get in touch with, and
they get in touch with any member of the committee.
Any member of the committee and the whole lot. Okay, so very good.
For future festivals.
I suppose from a business point of view as well, like it's one thing that and again, the whole point of this podcast is to raise community awareness of what's going on in their own community and the whole lot. And like that, we say that the local sponsors would have seen that, and they would have seen that it is an important thing to keep going and to keep going. And like you said, it's a people orientated event, if you know what I mean. It's not like the hiring of. We're lucky enough that we have St. Bridget's Hall and the whole lot, but there is a cost to it. So it's great. It's very important to get the sponsors on board, but also we'll say the people who are coming to watch it as well, that they feel like they're getting value for money and everything as well. So it's all part of the process. It's one of these kind of events where the value is seen on stage. It's literally something that you're seeing right in front of your eyes, and it's totally worth visiting.
Well, of course, the other main income stream is our patrons, people that come in and pay their money on the door, and there's fantastic value. It's €60 for a season ticket, or €12 per night.
So €12 to go see
on a night, one
night, yeah.
€60 gets you admission to all 9 nights.
Very good.
It's fantastic.
That's really good. Cause
and it is a marvellous entertainment.
Yeah.
Anybody that comes to a play, they'll go away fully charged for the life tomorrow.
It's like a night out. It's cheaper than actually going out for dinner. It's not far off it, but
the other thing, Richard, is that St. Bridget's Hall is a very comfortable place to view a play from. Now we have tiered seating, and it's nice and warm, comfortable, and good surroundings, and like the chat beforehand, afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose that's the other side as well. Like it's like I presume there'd be like a social event afterwards. What happens after each night? Is there an after party or anything happening or anything like that? Or
the après play.
The après play, yeah.
Après-ski. We usually try to have a festival club. Of course, our famous festival club used to be Killoran's Festival Club on Main Street. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's no longer with us. But there were so many nights there that the groups and the committee and the people from the town had great times, great sing-songs, recitations. But yeah, we do try to go to some local hostelry afterwards and unwind and talk about the play and give out about the adjudicator and whatever else needs to be done.
Those nights generally take on a life of their own.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose, and it's kind of being ready for the next night, I suppose. We were talking about the sponsor, but there is a core part of the Western Drama Festival is the committee. And without the committee, it wouldn't happen. So I suppose
the committee,
we need to give them the committee.
The committee, yes.
The committee.
Well, I suppose since the festival started, there has always been a committee and various chairmen and secretaries and people serving different roles. And I'm not going to mention anyone in particular, but
we have a photo up there of is that the current?
That's the current. That's the current
committee
crop of willing workers. Yeah,
very good. Very good.
One or two absent, but that's us. Their picture recently. Yeah, we're lucky that we have an excellent committee here. Everybody knows their role. Everybody knows their place. And if you went down, we were in the hall last night, and you should have seen the people in the hall busy making it ready for our Oak anniversary. And it was a credit, and you'd be proud of all of those people,
Very good. And we'll say from a national level, then you have, like, we'll say the Amateur Drama Council of Ireland, we'll say, which you're part of, and the whole lot, we'll say, it doesn't get as much recognition. I'd have to admit it's one of the first times I've heard about it, we'll say, when we were talking about this now, but tell us more about that national organisation.
Well, the Amateur Drama Council of Ireland is the umbrella body over the all of the festivals in the country. Okay. And it had its origins here in Tubbercurry.
So it was founded here in Tubbercurry?
No, it wasn't founded here in Tubbercurry, but Tubbercurry was a founding member of Billy mentioned the origins of the festival. And I say this festival started in 1944. 10 years later, in 1954, the Amateur Drama Council was founded in Athlone, and Tubbercurry was one of the founding members, and Matt Devine from Tubbercurry was the first chairman.
Okay, very good.
And that's celebrating its 70th anniversary this year, actually. Okay. Yeah.
So Brendan is a bit humble, but Brendan has been chairman of the National Council in recent years. So he's flying the flag for Tubbercurry to this day.
Very good.
Well, in fact, since the Amateur Drama Council was founded, the Western Drama Festival in Tubbercurry has had a member on that council since its foundation. Unbroken service. And not only me, yes, I was chairman, as Roger said, but Billy Kilgannon was
I was secretary for a number of years,
Maeve Walsh served as the treasurer. We had other people. We had Oliver, Dr. Sean Flannery.
Yeah.
John Maston, I think, might have been there at some stage, but it is unbroken service. That's a record unequalled in the country, So,
very good.
We won't leave them on their own because we know that
keep an eye on them.
We hold their hand.
Very good. Well, I suppose we have to talk about, this year's festival. I saw the information starting to come out about it. Tell us more about it, Brendan, just in regards to what's on store for viewers this year.
Okay, well, we open tomorrow night. It runs for 9 nights from tomorrow.
9 nights,
from
very good.
3rd to 11th, and there's 9 plays play on each night. They're all very different, very varied. Six of those plays are actually gracing the stage at Tubbercurry for the very first time.
Brilliant.
Which is great to see. And 2 of those plays were written by actual authors who wrote them recently. So it's excellent to see new writing and new 2 plays coming. Mm-hmm. But the range of plays vary from comedy to in-your-face theatre. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, Richard.
No.
Come along Saturday night and you can see what it's like.
Is this kind of where you don't sit in the front seats, or?
Well, you can sit in the front seats if you're brave enough.
All right.
But, it contains adult themes, this play.
All right,
but it's also entertaining. And then we have the important winner, Oscar Wilde, is there as well. So for anyone who likes a good old comedy. But I suppose, just talking about festivals, one of the great things about jam festivals is you get to see plays that you wouldn't normally see in the professional theatres in Dublin. The amount of plays and the varied different groups that come in and put them on, it's extraordinary. And a lot of these productions that you see, sometimes they rival or even surpass what you might see in a professional theatre. If you go to Athlone to the All-Ireland finals any year, you're guaranteed to see superb theatre.
Very good.
So yeah, we have a very interesting week, and I'm sure anyone who comes along will be royally entertained.
Excellent. And like you said, you can literally arrive on the night, and you'll have tickets available and the whole lot that people can come and see the whole lot.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, that's it for us here. Thanks a million, guys, for coming along. We really appreciate kind of bringing awareness to, I suppose, the Western Drama Festival. But we would say to anybody out there just to come along and support it, because it is a very important festival that's been going for 80 years, and long may it last.